question, Shanann came home. She and Chris got into a fight. They had made up. They were getting along quite well. Later on, they got into a fight again. In that fight, he essentially confessed to having an affair, that he wanted a divorce, that it was pretty much over between them. And she had said something to the effect of, well, you're not going to see the kids again. As a consequence of that conversation, he strangled her to death.
If you're watching this video, then you already know about the Chris Watts case. I'm going to assume this. If not, you can check elsewhere, and I possibly make a video about that in the future. This video is about Christopher Watts, who discovered Christianity again in 3 rapid months, to the point of now he's no longer a narcissist. He's no longer selfish. He wants to help rid the world of a terrible lie he told on his deceased wife by his own hands, that she too is a murderer and killed her children. He wants to do this because it's the right thing. So I'm going to examine what he said. How do I feel about it? Do I believe him? And at the end, I'm going to answer one final mystery. And hopefully then everything is put to rest and the Ruseks can go on without thinking about this person. I think this is the most adequate place to begin. Earlier that day, Sunday, she told him she loved him. No response. She even texted him that his parents were at a restaurant with an outage, power outage, and he didn't respond. She asked about her daughters. She even said that her flight is coming in late. He didn't respond. He talked to his mistress and then later said he fell asleep on the couch. The morning before that, she texted and said how much she loved him. The ups and downs of a relationship. She's fighting for her marriage and he wants nothing to do with it and is completely standoffish. And then she walks through that door. After a delayed flight, after wondering did he get his daughters ready for school the following morning, she walks in that door. I can only imagine, stressed and completely worried. There are no more 6-week vacations home to give us distance in our problems. There's no trip out of town. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. What's going to happen? Are we going to talk? Are we going to work this out? Should I go in the house, kiss my daughters goodnight, and go to bed? Should I try to see where his head is at? Because he can't run from me. He can't run from me. I'm not a text message. I'm right in his face. I'm his pregnant wife with his first son in my stomach. Reassure me. According to Chris Watts, this does not happen. According to Chris Watts, they argued. I tell people all the time, you have to be annoying to be a top salesperson. I've only seen one top salesperson in my entire life that was quiet and standoffish. They were fired, later found out to be cheating. You have to be pushy, almost aggressive. We saw some of this in Shanann Watts' personality. And she fought that night. I don't mean like arguing fought. According to Chris Watts, she fought so much, she fought back into his good graces. And they became good. They made up. And then according to Chris Watts, they fought one and final time that morning. And it led to him choking her and killing her. Born again Christian should be different, but these stories are the same as before. In a way, to me, these stories are the same because Chris Watts never ever in his mind does the worst thing. He always does the next to worst thing. I'll give you an example. When it was time to confess, Chris Watts said he didn't kill his children. He only killed his wife. And he killed his wife because she killed the children. He assumed they were dead. In this new story, Chris Watts is saying this isn't first-degree murder, it's second-degree murder. Rageful. I couldn't take it anymore from this argument. I'm sorry, Chris Watts, that I don't believe that it's occurred this way. For you have lost any hope of me to ever believe anything that comes out of your mouth unless it's the absolute worst thing. I'm unapologetically biased. Something tells me the rest of the world feels the exact same way I do. Where? Was she standing? Was she sitting down? How hard was this argument? She yell at you and fall asleep and you sneak up behind her? Did you rush and run at her, screaming mad, and take her life? In such a shock, she was startled, didn't even move. You apply the right kind of sleeper hold and someone will pass out in about 8 seconds. Too fast to leave any marks on you. Is that what happened, Chris? I'm sure if you could hear me, you'd pick the almost worst thing and stop right there and say, that's what happened, John. Yeah. Bella. According to you, Bella walks in the room as you're wrapping your deceased wife, you murderer. It's okay if I call you that, right? You murderer. You tell your daughter that mommy is sick and you need to take her to the hospital. I say, I don't know how to think like a crazy person. I don't know how to think like a murderer. So I never imagined they left that house alive. I'm working on a case. And I'm filming for this case. So my camera's in the car when I arrive home tonight. I go outside to my car to get my camera and I notice my house is just like your house, Chris. Big garage, little garage. To the right of my house, I have a nosy neighbor. The camera on the side of their house. So I take my camera out of my car tonight and I walk over to my neighbor's yard. I film my house. Try to get at that angle where you were at. So I move over to the left a little bit more. A little bit more. That's it. And parked a little different than your truck was when you backed it up, but This is the angle right here. This is the angle that allowed you to block as you loaded your wife that you murdered into your truck. And as you put your daughters in the truck for their final ride. But I noticed something. This looks very well, very good the way you hid and put them in there. But how does it look if you just move from the side of your house to the front of your house? Your neighbors would have saw you loading your two daughters in the car. Super easy angle. And from this angle, it shows how sloppy you are. Out in the open, you load a deceased body and your two daughters, and your family leaves the house for the final time. I start wondering things, Chris. I start wondering, did you talk to them? I don't think a 4 and a 3-year-old truly can understand death. But I feel it's embedded into our genes, our bodies. Danger. That's the D word I believe that Bella understood. Danger. I think Bella seen mommy sick before. Mommy may have told her tummy hurts. But this mommy is quiet. They love daddy. Daddy seems different. So I ask myself, I wonder. I want to do something. That was 1 minute. If we were to do that 45 times, that's how long those girls rode in your truck according to you. That's how long your daughters rode in that truck with mommy quiet. And I wonder, did you talk to them? The Chris Watts that I see, the loving father, who was always attentive to his daughters, he would have talked to them. But that Chris Watts is dead. That Chris Watts is comparable to the Tooth Fairy. In Thomas Harris' book, Red Dragon, he went into the museum and he ate that red dragon painting. He wanted to become the monster. When you murdered your wife, you became that monster. You became the real Chris Watts. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to fake smile around your friends. You didn't like talking to people. You didn't like human beings. You didn't have to listen to what your wife said anymore. You have to follow your mom's orders. This is it. The real Chris Watts is born. The real Chris Watts knew what he was about to do to his daughters. So in my opinion, as they cried, stay worried, you didn't say anything to them. You're in a time restraint. You arrive at Survey 319. Wow, I'm still in shock because I just found this out today. You weren't alone. The sun is coming up as you arrive at Survey 319. You have to expedite your plan to murder your daughters. You don't even care about them so much. You don't even try to be a father at their final moments. You don't even separate it so Bella can't see you murdering her sister. Well, there's no reason to separate Bella from watching this. Bella doesn't matter anymore. It's about to be all over with in just a short moment. Why do I need to put her out? Why do I need to put her on the other side of the truck? Why do I need to move her out of view? It doesn't matter. As soon as I'm done with my baby girl, I'm going to move on to my next baby girl, who still doesn't understand death. But now this danger word that she understands is creeping in a lot more to the fact, according to you, she said, please don't do to me what you just did to Cece. What did you say back? What did you say back to her? Did she just see the blanket in your hand go over her mouth after that? Did you quiver? Did you cry? Did you say it's going to be okay? You didn't say anything. You are worried about the sun and your coworkers, not the last moments of your daughter. Chris, why did you plead guilty? Why did you plead guilty? I don't understand. Why did you plead guilty? You have no feelings for any human being on this planet. Moments after killing your daughters, the time period of snuffing them out and walking up the stairs to take them up there. It's not that much time before your coworkers come, but you still take a photo and send it to your mistress. Why did you plead guilty? You don't have a soul. You don't have a heart to plead guilty to save the taxpayers' money. Why did you plead guilty? You pled guilty to save your own ass. You pled guilty so you would not die. You did the one thing to make sure you lived. But you annihilated your daughters and your wife. You all know me for honoring my videos and stories, so I try to dress nice in them. I want people to realize that these stories are important to me, so you often see me in a tie and or button-up shirt, but I promise you I am dressed appropriately right now. See, this t-shirt represents what Bella and Cece saw their father as, and this t-shirt represents what his wife wanted him to be, and my jacket represents where I would love to see him. Dr. Phil, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for simply saying, I will not sensationalize Chris Watts. I will honor the Ruseks family. Because I know the Ruseks wanted Shanann's story to be told and their grandkids' story to be told. They wanted them to feel as important. I've never even heard of a victim's advocate until people start calling me that. I get it now. I understand it. And I hope this brings some kind of help to ease their pain in the future. So thank you, Dr. Phil. And now I want to end my video on Chris Watts. There's one final mystery left. You can crawl back into your hole and never be heard from again. The final mystery is what to describe you. No one can figure it out. Everybody is wondering, why can't we think of the proper adjective to call Chris Watts? Monster, not strong enough. I know why monster doesn't work. Because a monster is a helpful tool. Stories that we tell. The monster come along, the child learns what not to do from the monster, and the child goes on living. You are far beyond this. You're not a monster. Chris, I figured out why we can't find an adjective to describe what you are. And it's because you are the adjective. A man that wipes out his entire family, cold blood with his own hands, kills his children, and doesn't understand when you have 45 minutes to think about it. To think about caring as much as you did in your lie when you said you killed your wife because you thought your children were dead. Just the thought of thinking that your children were dead, you went into a rage. And the detective tried to tell you, if I see my child, even if there's a little glimpse of hope, I will try to save him. Just a little glimpse, I would try to save him. You didn't understand that because you're not human. Any man that can go on that long 45-minute drive and do what you did, they will forever be called a Chris Watts. So you're not a monster. You're Chris Watts.